Hi everyone, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back to UiPath Document Understanding series. In this video, we are going to talk about Document Understanding Framework step by step, and to help you understand this, we will compare each step to a real life scenario. And at the same time, we will see how the robot does it parallelly. So let's start. You can see here Document Understanding Framework. It has some steps mentioned here. We'll go one by one. This document understanding framework is a 7-step process that transforms scanned or digital documents into a structured, usable data. Imagine you are working in office and every day you receive bulk of documents like invoices, receipts, ID cards, purchase orders, etc. And your job is to process them, identify the document type, extract the useful information that requires to enter into your ERP system, SAP, or that accounting systems, and complete your job like that. As you know, we humans already follow a similar process when we deal with the documents manually. Document understanding is not just about both doing magic, it's about mimicking what a human does. And to understand how this magic works, let me walk you through step by step process using the exact scenario, the real life scenario. First, we'll start with load taxonomy. Every day, when you plan to work on documents, you get a list of documents to work on. Like you plan to work on invoices, receipts, purchase order, or any other documents. So you make a checklist of the documents, and then you also make a checklist of the fields you need to capture from each document. Let's say you added in Excel file that this is the document, this is invoice document. I need to capture invoice number, invoice date, invoice amount. Those things you need to capture. So you have written down in an Excel file. Now, if it is invoice, then you need to capture those details. If it is receipt, then you need to capture fields based on that documents, correct? Similar way, what both does, in the DU workflow we have a taxonomy manager where we need to define what types of documents. Currently in real life we are storing these things in an Excel file, or we are also storing in our brain, in our mind, that okay, I need to fetch these things and write into the Excel file. Similar way, both has a taxonomy manager where we can define these things. So the first step is to load taxonomy, which loads the predefined taxonomy in UiPath Document Understanding workflow, or you can say DU workflow. We will talk about taxonomy manager in details in upcoming video. Let's move to the second step, digitize. You don't need to worry about learning and you know capturing all these things in your mind. Automatically, once you will start step by step here, and you will compare this, you will relate this with your real life work, then you will easily able to grab these things. So no need to you know remember these things. First you understood load taxonomy. It means you need to define that what type of documents that you need to work on and what are the fields that you need to extract the data. Second is digitize. Digitize means, let's talk about, if you have an invoice. Let me open that invoice here. If I'm trying to select these things, so I'm not able to select here. Only that upper part is I'm able to select here. From here I'm able to select, right? Because this is native document and this is scanned documents. So if the file is scanned or this is image, so what do you do to identify or to look into this document? You zoom in here, right? You zoom in, zoom out like that, and then you see, okay, this is invoice document, and this is the balance due, this is date, this is invoice number, right? You go and you zoom in, zoom out, this type of things you do. Sometimes you adjust the brightness to read it better, and then you pick up that invoice and you start reading it, right? Similar way, in document understanding, both does the same thing, but here it uses the technology, like it uses OCR, optical character recognition, to digitize the document. And this OCR converts this document into the machine readable text. Let's move to third steps. Third step is classify. Classify means as a human, you look at the document, and by looking at the few keywords, like you see invoice, you see invoice number, date, customer ID, bill to, and quantity, unit, price, amount. So by looking at these keywords, you you say this is invoice. If you open some other documents and again you see something like related to that, so you say this is invoice document, or this is receipt documents, or this is purchase order. Similar way, both uses classifier to identify, or you can say classify the document type. We have different classifiers here. We'll talk about it later. By looking at the keywords, words, or paragraphs, or sentences like that, so both will able to understand this is invoice document, so it can classify the document. So let's say you remember, like you have lots of documents in your computer, and now you need to, currently this is not renamed here. Here we can say this is invoice because this is already renamed and we know that this is invoice, but board doesn't know. So similar way, we open and we see, okay, this is invoice, classified it, consider this as an invoice. Second document, okay, this is receipt, okay, this is a purchase order, oh, this is home loan, this is loan application, this is this document, right? Similar way, by using some keywords, looking at the keywords, um, board can identify that and classify, consider this is in invoice, this is receipt, and this is this document. Fourth step we can say as a validate. Now what is this validate? Means, let's say there are many documents that you don't know about that just by looking at the keywords, because we are also human. There are many documents that even I have not seen that. There are many US documents, US mortgage documents that I have not seen it before. If someone will present that document to me, so I will not able to say that, okay, this is loan application, or what is that document, right? So if I am not sure about that by looking at the keywords or by looking at the documents, so what I will do, just to double check with that, I will ask the document expert, or I will ask my colleague, or I will ask my senior to confirm that, to validate that. So that person, that document expert or that senior, will look into that document, and then he will say, okay, this is the invoice document, or this is loan application. If whatever you have already selected, because you have already classified in the third step, right? But while validating, if your senior says that, document expert says that, no, this is not invoice, this is not loan application, then he can validate that, he can correct you. He can say, no, no, this is not invoice, this is loan application. Correct? So you have validated then. Similar way, if boat is not 100% sure, let's say this classify is done by boat. If boat is doing classifying these documents, and boat has taken consider that document as a receipt, but actually that is invoice. So boat is not 100% sure about that. So boat's confidence will be like less than 100%, or like 70%, 60%, 50%, like that. So it will present that output of the classification to the human. How? It can be using a form, apps, or action center. We'll talk about the action center in upcoming videos. But here, what it does, it presents that output of the classifiers to the human for validations. So from action center, human can validate it, or it can correct it. You can say, okay, now this is not invoice, this is receipt, and he can confirm that. So this will be validated. This way, human can validate it. Now, after validating, Fifth step is train, means training, right? Now, once your senior or document experts confirm that this is invoice document or this is loan application, this is receipt documents, you remember it, right? Because we are human and we are learning, right? These things. So once he says that okay, this is the invoice document, then we learn that. So for next times, once we'll receive that documents, so we have already trained our mind, we have already trained our brain to always identify this type of document as a invoice or receipt. So he says that okay, this is invoice. So now my mind is ready to understand that this is invoice document. Similar way, here in the DU workflow, DU framework, we have train. So we train that model to learn from the validated documents to improve the classification using AI and machine learning. And this way, next time, board can classify the document easily if it comes. So, what you learned from here, board can also learn just like we do. Now, the next step is after validating and training, we can again classify and we can say, no, this is finally, we are 100% sure this is an invoice document. Correct? Here you identify in the classify third step, you identify something different. Now you send this output of the classification for validation. And now user has human has validated and then you train that and then again you after learning from that prior experience or the previous experience you now classifying that with confidence 100% that this is invoice document. Correct? Now after that next step will be extract. You know that this is invoice document and you need to extract the invoice number, date, amount, vendor name. Correct? You need to extract the details from here, date, invoice, these things. Similar way, once this document is classified and board consider this as an invoice document, now inside the document type there are a list of fields that you need to extract, that board has to extract. So based on that identified documents, it will now try to find those fields into this documents and extract that data. So it will extract date, invoice number, PO number, and amount, those things. After that, it will go to the next step, that is validate. Now here in the validate, what will validate? Will validate the extraction result. Let's relate to the real life. So let's say there are many documents, like different formats of documents you can say. So you see here we have one format of invoice. This is another format of invoice, third and fourth. There are different formats, right? So you don't know about just by looking at the keywords, right? You are not 100% sure that the value that you are going to extract is really invoice number. Let's say you are going to extract from here, but you are actually not sure that this is invoice or number or not. You have extracted from here, you have extracted from here, or from this, right? So you are really not sure that you are not 100% sure that this is invoice number or not. So you double check with your senior or colleague. Then that human confirms that yes, this is invoice number. This is the invoice number. And same here, this is invoice number and this is invoice number. This is invoice number. Correct? So once he confirms, so we are okay to extract that. If he says no, then he tells that okay, no, this is not invoice number. This one is the invoice number where we can see the invoice as a keyword. Here we can say invoice has, this is the keyword. So our invoice number is this, correct? So you validate like that. Similar way, if both is not 100% sure, it can present the output of the extractor, that result, to human for validation. or it can send it to the action center and human can validate from there. If it is wrong, the result is wrong, he can tell that, okay, he can like select that, he can mention that this is the correct place to capture the invoice number. And for this document, you can say, okay, this is the correct place to identify. This is the correct place to capture the invoice number, correct? So after validating, we need to train that extractor based on the validated data. Similar way that we did for classifier. We after validation, we train that classifier. So similar way we are doing for extractor. So let's say once your senior, your document experts confirms that this is the invoice number. Here you can find out. So what you do, you remember it for the next time. Means you have trained your brain to always identify this type of document as a invoice. Similar way, we train that model, we train that extractor to learn from the validated documents to improve the extractors using AI and machine learning. And this way, next time, board can easily identify and extract the data from that documents. So, what you learn from here? Again, board can also learn, right? Just like we do. So once your senior or document expert confirms, you remember it for the next time. Means you have trained your brain to understand. Okay, for this type of document or format, invoice number usually appears here. Invoice number usually appears here, right? And next time, if same document appears, I will directly say, I know this, bro. Here is the invoice number. Correct? Because I have learned this. Similar way, we train the model, we train the extractor to learn from the validated data to improve extractors using AI and machine learning. And this way, board can increase its confidence to 100% to consider that data to extract the data from this field. Once you extracted, validated, trained, so after training, you will extract the data again, correct? After validation, you train that, then you are 100% sure, then you will extract the data from here. Why we are extracting? Because might be first time you were wrong. So after validation, you need to capture it again. So you capture that, you extracted the data from there. Now after that, once you are 100% sure, you will go to export. Means you will extract the information for further usage. You will write it somewhere. So finally, you export the data. I mean, you put those extracted data into the Excel file or stored in the database. So that data can be used to enter into SAP or ERP softwares anywhere. And this is where the process data becomes useful for business. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we'll start building this step by step inside UiPath Studio. So stay tuned with me and let's make boards smarter together.